I fixed the porch step on a Saturday in June, and it took me most of the morning, and when I was done, I sat down on it and felt good about my life. That's the part I want you to notice. I felt good. Nothing was wrong. The coffee was still warm, the work was finished, and it was solid, and it would hold. I had the specific satisfaction of a small thing done properly, which at my age is most of what satisfaction is. And that's when he showed up. The other one. The version of me who took the other job in 1991 and never came back to this town at all. Maybe you know this too. I'm Daniel. And for a long time, I treated those visits as a report, as my life handing me an assessment I hadn't asked for. I don't read them that way anymore. I've noticed 3 things about the life you didn't choose. Only 3. But the last one is the one that changed how I carry it. Here's the first, and it's the one almost nobody says out loud. He never comes when I'm suffering. Think about your own worst stretch, not an inconvenience, a real one. A month where something had gone badly wrong and you were frightened or grieving or just underwater with it. Did the other life visit you then? It didn't. It doesn't. On the bad days, you're busy. There's no room in a bad day for a beautiful hypothetical because a bad day takes up all the space there is. It comes on the good ones. It comes on an ordinary afternoon when the work is done and nothing's wrong. It comes at a wedding, somewhere in the middle of the toast. It comes in the car after an evening that went well, at the exact moment you notice it went well. And I want you to sit with what that means, because it took me years to catch it. If that thought were a verdict on your life, it would arrive when your life was bad. That's when verdicts come. That's what they're for. You don't get handed the assessment on the day everything's working, but it waits. It waits for the quiet, well-fed hours. It waits until you're steady enough to receive it, which tells me it isn't a judgment. Whatever that thought is, and I'll get to what I think it is not your life informing you that you chose wrong. A verdict would have come years ago, on a much worse day. That's the first one. The second took me longer to see, and it's less comfortable. The other life wins. Every time. It has never once lost the comparison, not in 35 years, and eventually I got curious about why something would have a record that perfect. And here it is. It never had to happen. I made the decision in 1991, standing in a kitchen that isn't mine anymore, with the phone cord stretched around the doorframe because the cord never quite reached. I said no. I remember the exact sentence I used, and I'm not going to repeat it because it was a small sentence for a large thing. I told myself it was the sensible choice. It was also the frightened one. I've never managed to separate those two, and at some point I stopped trying. But here's what happened afterward to the man who would have said yes. Nothing. Nothing ever happened to him. That's the whole trick, and I didn't see it for decades. He never had a bad year. He never had a Thursday where the money didn't work. He never sat across from someone he loved and said the wrong thing and watched it land on her face. He never got tired of the thing he chose. And everyone gets tired of the thing they chose, at least in patches, at least on some days. He stayed exactly as he was the moment I set him down. There's a photograph of me from around that year. I don't take it out often. But the man in it is 31, and he always will be, because photographs don't have Tuesdays. Nothing has been asked of him since the shutter closed. And that is what I've been holding my life up against. Not another life. A picture. A thing that has never been out in the weather. Mine has been out in the weather for 35 years. Of course it has marks on it. That's what happens to anything that actually gets used. He's undefeated. He also never played. That's the second one. And then there's the last one, which I think is the real one. For most of my life, I assumed I was thinking about a life. The house I'd have had, the city, the work, some other shape of a Wednesday. But when I started paying attention to what actually arrives, it isn't a life at all. There's no furniture in it. I couldn't tell you what he eats. I have no idea what his weekends look like, or whether he's happy, or whether anyone knows him well. For something I've supposedly spent decades wanting, it's remarkably empty. Because it isn't a life that shows up. It's a person. And I'll tell you exactly what I get, because it's the same every time. He's standing in a doorway with his coat still on, halfway through arriving somewhere. He hasn't put anything down yet. That's it. That's the whole picture. A man who hasn't unpacked in a room I've never seen, with his hand still on the door. He's 31. He's always 31. And everything he might do is still in front of him, because he never got around to doing any of it. That's what walks in on the good afternoons. Not a place I didn't go. A person I stopped being. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Every time I thought I was measuring my life against a better one, I was doing something much simpler and much older than that. That's the third one. Which brings me to the part that actually changed things. That feeling isn't dissatisfaction. It's grief. Somewhere back there, both of us were live. Both were real. Both were possible. And neither had happened yet. And the day I chose this one, the other one stopped being available. Not gradually, not partly. He ended. Right there, in that kitchen, in one small sentence. But nobody holds a funeral for someone who hadn't happened yet. There's no day for it. No one comes over. So he goes unburied, and he turns up on good afternoons. And I spent most of my adult life misreading a visit from someone I lost as a complaint about what I have. And I want to be careful here, because this is the part people get wrong about themselves. Grief is not ingratitude. You can be genuinely glad of your life and still mourn what it cost you to have it. Those two aren't in competition, and they never were. Every person who has ever chosen anything paid for it with everything else, and something in us keeps that receipt. Keeping it doesn't mean you regret the purchase. You're not unhappy with your life. You're missing someone you had to stop being. From the inside, those feel identical. They are not remotely the same thing. I'll be honest with you about what understanding this did and didn't do. It didn't make him stop. He came around in April on a good day the way he does. He'll come around again. What changed is what I do when he's there. I used to treat it as an audit, go back through everything, check the work, see whether the numbers came out. Now I mostly just notice him. Let him stand there a while, coat and all. He was real once. That seems worth a minute. That's not a cure. I don't have one, and I'd be lying if I offered you one. It's just a quieter way of sitting with the same visitor. I'll leave you with this. The life you didn't choose was never really a life. It was a person, and you were them once, and then you couldn't be anymore. That's not a wrong turn. That's just what it costs to have chosen anything at all. Tell me in the comments, does yours come around? On the good days, when nothing's wrong, I'd like to know. And if you want to sit with me again, subscribe. I'll be here. I'm Daniel. I'll see you in the late hours.